Welcome to Indiana Sports Beat Radio, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Looks over the middle, second guesses, fires, throws. Does he make the catch in the end zone? Yes! Touchdown! Oladipo to win it.
Another one!
He got
Another one!
Oladipo!
Another one! Huge hole! He's at the 30! He's gonna go! 10, 5, touchdown! Jonathan Taylor!
Galloway finds Rob Finnessy, who fires the three, and
he hit it!
Now, from the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios, here's your host, Jim Coyle.
Hello, everybody. Welcome aboard Indiana Sports Beat Radio, coming to you on this Thursday. I hope you're doing fine and are having a great week. The weather has been pretty outstanding. Dustin Schutte joining me now from Outkick. Outsider?
Yeah.
Outsider.com, right?
Yes, correct.
Got to get that in my head. Outsider.com. Got it. Outsider.com. Got to get that more into my head. But yeah, have you done anything outside this week?
I have. I played golf on Tuesday. Played 9 holes.
Of course you did.
Got the twilight rate. I had.
Wait, how did you manage to find time to play golf? You've been moving.
Well, all the stuff I fit in my. So I did one of those pod things for moving, and it won't show up for like another 2 weeks, right? Because of how this. Because I couldn't have somebody. I needed to have my car, so I couldn't rent a truck to get down because there's enough separation between my family and me that I did basically this entire move by myself. So most of my stuff is in a pod, and then I filled up my car.
That's what you call friends. I would have come down and driven.
You would have come. Yeah, okay. That's a long drive.
Well, I would have flown to Atlanta, and you would have come and got me, and I would have driven from there to Gainesville. That's not. How far is that?
Keep that in mind next time you move, Dustin. He's already offering his services.
Well, I mean, that's what people do, friends. You help people. I mean, man, that's not that big. That's not that big a deal. All right. How far is it? You were relatively close to Atlanta, right?
Yeah, just on the north side. So it's about a 5-hour drive, 5.5 hours from my former place to now my current place in Gainesville.
Yeah. Man, come on. Yeah. Yeah. That's nothing.
Well, then you're a better friend than most because I didn't want to put anybody out. It wasn't really that bad. It was just
I wasn't paying for the flight to Atlanta. I can tell you that.
Well, see, that's another expense.
Well, that's you got to put that in there now. You got to add that. But flight to Atlanta is nothing. Jeez,
it depends. It depends on
$50.
Yeah, it depends on where you fly. They used to have. From Indianapolis to Atlanta was AirTran maybe, and I think it got bought by Southwest. But you used to be able to get those always for under $100, always.
Yep, got lots of things going on. Let's see the top 100 going on down in Orlando. We'll talk about that. Some NBA action. Anything happen? How about? See, we'll get to talk to Chris Denari, but. Nothing happened with the Pacers, man, other than the draft picks. We had Bob Kravitz on yesterday, and he had a good piece about, it was a lot of talk, but at the end of the day, this had to be, for having a top 10 pick, I don't mean this is how it's going to sound, but man, this draft for the Pacers had about as much sizzle as a gallon of milk out of the refrigerator, man. I mean, there was just nothing. It cold. It was flat. It was there. It was predictable, completely predictable, and no pizzazz. Where was the pizzazz? You know what I'm saying? The trades, Miles. She said Miles Bridges is out of the picture for the Pacers now. I don't know. Does that mean it? Because he's on the trade block, or has something happened overnight?
I'm not sure. I haven't followed it as closely because I haven't had my finger on the pulse since draft night because of the move and everything. But I mean, I love the Pacers draft pick. I think when you combine
perfect. They're combined.
Anyway, to continue while we're waiting for Dustin, Jennifer followed up her comment by saying he got arrested for domestic violence overnight, Miles Bridges.
Oh, hello. That's not good. Well, see, now that's not good. He's still with the Pacers, right?
I don't know. I'm assuming he is. I know nothing of Miles Bridges until Jennifer mentioned anything. I'm trying to get more confirmation for us. That's
not going to be, well, I'd say that wouldn't be helpful in the trade, and it won't if that is the case. But we just spent yesterday talking about Deshaun Watson and how Cleveland is just falling all over themselves to get him into the fold after he has settled 20 of the 24 alleged instances of impropriety against him. So what does one instance do?
So Miles Bridges, for his first 4 seasons he spent with the Charlotte Hornets. Apparently he was also under the rapper name RTBMB. And he was expected to be a top free agent this offseason. So that's why he was a big deal for the Pacers, potentially.
That was someone that they were looking at? Huh.
Yes.
Well, that's something that Michael Jordan's going to have to be dealing with this morning then. Speaking of the Hornets, I saw a picture. I should have sent it to you, but it was on Twitter. Zach Osterman had reposted it. Where did that go? Daggone, I should have saved it, but it was fun. He said he just had commented he is not good with the movement of time. It was Dustin's back. It was a picture of Cody Zeller, Jordan Hulls, Anthony Leal, and Trace Jackson Davis. And the funny thing is, in that picture, Jordan looks so short, but he's a legit 6'1". I'm telling you, I was just standing next to him at the Never Lose Hoop deal last week, and I was thinking to myself, all right, because we're always thinking, I'm like, because I'm 6'1". I'm like, all right, he's in shoes. He's 6'1". I can get 6'1", but yeah, that picture, that would be like me standing in there next to Cody Zeller, who's 7 foot, and Trace Jackson Davis, who's 6'9", and Anthony Leal is a big 6'5". Speaking of when I was standing next to Jordan, Anthony was there too, and I was just thinking, I'm like, damn, have you grown? He says, man, I get that a lot. He is a serious 6'5". I mean, he's not. Dude is 6'5". I'm like, man, he's got some size. God, never really stood that close to him for that long and talked to him, but I'm like, okay, he's a legit 6'5". So Indiana's got size all around coming up, which is not what we're talking about as we welcome Dustin back from the land of the frozen. How are you?
Well, I'm hopefully better now.
We have new. He's in his new studio. Hasn't gotten all of the perks and the bells and whistles up, and we're going to have to jack that Wi-Fi up there.
The call's already been placed.
And you know what? That's something you should build a studio. It's easy to do, my friend.
Well, I don't know about building a studio, but this place does come with an office that I can close off. I can put like a door in there or something, and then all I got to do is decorate it. But if I was to do it right now, because there's nothing in there, you would hear my echo about 4 different times every time I say something. So it'd be even worse than probably what it sounds right now. So a studio is coming. A working studio is coming. It's just takes some time.
Does it have a carpeted floor?
No, it's got a hardwood floor, but I can put different things in there.
Put carpet on the floor. You have to put carpet on the floor in there. Not the whole floor, but you have got to put a big area.
Just a rug.
That's a must. And then some stuff on the wall, man.
Those sound catchers, you can buy those.
Or just a couple of wall rugs. It's amazing. It really is. We laugh because Dustin, we call him Dustin in the closet. He used to do his show in his closet. But let me tell you, the sound in there, unbelievable. It is the greatest sound you're ever going to get. I remember the former place walking into the walk-in. I'm like, and all I could think about was how incredible the sound was in there. And I was in there to get a shirt. And I'm like going, the sound is so good in here. It's just funny how your mind works. What else is going on? Let's see. What have you been doing besides the move? How's we talked a bit about the new job last week with the outsider. It sounds like an eerie kind of a thing.
Well, it can be. I mean, we're talking about
you can't call that's because you can't call it the outsider. That's a habit you can't get into and can't allow others to get into. You have to always correct them and say outsider.com.
Outsider.com.
Because the outsider sounds like the outsider. He sounds like that guy that's on the outside looking in. Yeah, you can't. And that's another thing. Every time K-Bro he'll mention us in a story about something, and he'll always call it the Indiana Sports Beat. And I'm like, there's no the, Kevin. It's not the Indiana Sport. I said, why do you put a the in front of it? I said, would you call it the Indiana University? No, it's just Indiana University.
Well, maybe I mean, the thing with Ohio State now, trademarking the. So, I mean, some people might call it the.
Well, did they officially get that done?
Yes, they did. I think it was last week. It was it had to be last week.
I know that they attempted before and they failed. So they're able to get the Ohio State University.
Just the. So they can trademark it and put the on clothing or merchandise or whatever it is. It's okay. It's the most obnoxious thing ever.
So you're telling me the United States of America, the United States Patent or whomever made this decision, the United States Patent Office has given Ohio State University the universal rights to the word the.
I believe so. Yeah. I didn't read. I'm not a lawyer.
Somebody. All right, peeps. On the Andy Moore Honda hotline, which is full. Start somebody, the smartest one of you, start researching that. Speaking of which, hey Larry, how are you, brother? Michael's on there. Pete up on early from up in Minnesota, eh? Jennifer, she mentioned the Miles Bridges thing, being arrested for domestic violence overnight. Oh. We'll get into that with Chris Denari later. Tim asked, can Woody keep Montverde pipeline open? Dairy Queen likes and is going to visit Indiana soon. Says he talks to the coaches every day. Pete says nope, and I believe that. Or maybe he was talking about something I said. Tim talked about, Victor Oladipo not returning to Miami next season. We'll talk about that later as he is moving on, starting to become a journeyman, man. Dustin, not a sign, not a tag you want, because he's not a Russell Westbrook. So when you start becoming a journeyman and your talents are starting to, oh boy, you see that downward sway coming, which I'm sure he sees that coming anyway.
Well, I mean, even being a journeyman hasn't really worked out that well for Russell Westbrook. No,
he's never won anything. He hasn't won anything.
Well, and the Lakers were one of the worst teams maybe not one of the worst teams, but they were a bad team in the NBA last season with him on the roster. Like he's kind of one of those guys to me, Jim. Like I know we're talking about other players, but I can't get off this Russell Westbrook because he always reminds me of Carmelo Anthony. Like, yes, he's a good player, but you're not going to win a championship with him. You got to because of the way he plays, his style. It's just not going to win a championship, in my opinion. You can have some good seasons, but.
Did you know The Outsiders was a great movie in 1983?
I did know that, and that's why I told Jennifer on Twitter a couple weeks ago that my nickname should be Soda Pop Schutte, so that's why she always chimes in with that.
Oh, John,
because that was Rob Lowe's character, right?
Oh, okay. So, John, mental note there, JTP.
Soda Pop Schutte.
Soda Pop Schutte. I see it coming. I see something. Caleb on. How are you, brother? Appreciate you jumping on. Where are you from, by the way? I got to get I don't know that I have you on the book, but says Bridges was just about to get paid big time. That's right. Free agent. And you make this kind of a mistake right before. Oh my, this is beyond stupid.
Macon, Georgia.
He's down, man, making bacon down in Georgia, baby. A lot of Georgia. We have a lot of Georgia listeners. It's amazing.
I'm gonna have to move back. Back.
No, move back north. Donald down there as well, or several of you. Let's see. We'll get to some more comments as you guys are lighting it up already. Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our good friends at the Wow Network, the Wow Club, and Andy Moore Honda. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com. Also, make sure you go become a member of the Wow Club. It's easy. You can just go to your Apple App Store or Google Play Store. Speaking of which, I posted something on Facebook yesterday because I had a notice on my phone from the Wow Club, and I opened it up, and there was an offer for 50% off at Cabello, one of the restaurants, of course, which I was like, wow, pretty damn good deal. So sign up. It's free. Start earning WOW rewards today. WOW Club members earn exclusive discounts, dining dollars to spend, and more sent directly to your mobile phone, just like it was mine. Go to the Apple App Store or Google Play Store. Sign up. Do it for us. They are a proud sponsor of IU Athletics and a sponsor of Indiana Sports Beat, which allows us to do the things we do. So support those who support you, man. Just go sign up for us, and we appreciate it. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting...
I know it'll be difficult to stay on track today with a small guest list, but whenever I pop in, try to remember to take breaks.
Well, I will. I mean, I won't, there's no reason to go long like when we don't have a guest, but when I don't have to stay right on. If I am trying to finish something, I'm going to.
There's no big deal. But if you're just reading through comments, try to just get to break if you can, is what I'm saying.
Steve Ramsey from Greenfield. I got to write that down.
One thing I'm curious about with some of these listeners, if you feel free commenting on this, people, if you're from a different state, like Caleb says, from Macon, how do you hear about the show? How have you discovered it? How did you find out about Indiana Sports Beat? I'm just curious.
Yeah, that's a good question.
Multiple people, like you say all the time, Jim, are not from Indiana.
Steve Ramsey is in Greenfield.
I think we need a Indiana Sports Beat, the tour.
What do you mean a tour?
Like go on remote to different locations?
So we stop in Kentucky, we stop in Tennessee, we stop in Georgia.
Do you think I don't go on tour enough?
Well, I'm not with you.
We can compete with the KSR tour. They do that crap every year.
There we go.
They're going to Philadelphia here in a few weeks, which is why I have to fill in for them for a whole week because they won't have a producer in studio.
Why are they going to Philadelphia?
Because they put a bunch of cities in a hat and drew out of a hat, and they drew Philadelphia.
Well,
That's not a bad idea.
But we would have to put specific cities in for a reason.
Yes.
Right.
Who did I just saw? I just see that I did not recall having on here yet already. Caleb. Is Caleb from Macon? Yeah.
Yes.
I don't think I have him on the list. Maybe I already.
Caleb says he was bloodthirsty for IU content on YouTube on a daily basis, and that's surely what led him here, but he can't remember for sure if that's how he discovered us or not.
Well, we appreciate you no matter what. Spread the word. As a matter of fact, make sure you
like, subscribe, and share, of course.
Like, subscribe, and share, man.
Says, but
I know, but
that's how more people like you, Caleb, will find us if you like, subscribe, and share.
And that helps us tremendously. Where's Philip? Philip S. Jacob W. I don't know where they're from, and Leslie.
Excuse me.
Don't know where you're from.
All right.
Network. TheHoosier.com is where you can find complete coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and plenty more. Simply go to TheHoosier.com and sign up. It's free. You can also find full episodes of Indiana Sports Beat Radio on the homepage or on the station every week, Monday through Friday. If we're not on a station where you live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by BB's Market in Bloomington. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. It is Thursday. I hope you're having a good week. The weather's been pretty spectacular here. It's about to turn summerish. I was looking late 1 o'clock this morning, whatever it is that I usually go to bed, at the forecast. And the thing that has been so incredibly wonderful here of late, there's been no humidity. And that is such a rarity here. And it's been like for a week, even when it got hot, there was no humidity. And it's like, each night was wonderful. Last night was the last good night. I think we might see, I don't know. It could be 6 weeks, unless there's a front that comes through. Who knows? But I've looked over, as far as my forecast will allow me to look out. And it's not the temperatures I'm looking at so much as the humidity. And it has been in the low 40s and the 40%, which that's beautiful. At nighttime, 60 degrees and 40% humidity. That's San Diego. Well, yeah, that's about to go away. It's about to be every day is going to be. See, now today I'm not a weatherman, as you can tell. I was a sports anchor, not a weather person. I always thought the weather people had the greatest, easiest jobs in the history of the world, by the way. And they would spend, I never understood that when I was in television, when I was a sports anchor, because every second that I'm on, I'm delivering something that is different or different content, or somebody else is talking, or it is all completely different. When the weather guy is on for 5 minutes, there's only about 45 seconds that you care about. All that other stuff that they do, you don't give a rat's butt. All you care about is the very end, when they throw up those 7 days and you see the temperatures, you see what's gonna happen. That's it. But they waste 5 stinking minutes. Well, we've got this, and what had happened is front come in, and up here you got this northern up. Nobody cares. Throw up the blocks. Throw up the 7 days, man. That's all we care about. And I was like, and I always sit there. I wasn't jealous of them, but I would just think, man, I could fill that time easy. It was hard for me to cut stuff down. I had to always edit stuff down because you had 4 minutes or whatever it was, 5 at most, but you have to squeeze all that stuff in, whether it was whether you had base in the area you were, where you had a following of a major league team or whatever, all the stuff, the local stuff, all that stuff you had to squeeze in. Like I said, it was all different. The scores of the day, who's doing what, each and everything that somebody cares about, whether it was the basketball or football or whatever, weather, 7 days, baby. Just give me the 7-day stinking forecast. Is that just me, or is that pretty much?
I think that's pretty much everybody, but that's why they get so excited about basically natural disasters, blizzards, earthquakes, tornadoes, hurricanes, all that stuff, because they get their sleeves rolled up. I mean, it's basically their Super Bowl when that stuff happens. So they get really excited because they get a lot of airtime. They get to do something a little bit different. So I think you're in the majority on that one. The other thing that's always been interesting to me, you talk about having the job that is I don't know if it's easy or not, but you don't have to be right. Like, think about this. Even when it's a guaranteed, there's guaranteed to be rainfall, it's still a 100% chance of rain. The word chance is always in there. 100% chance. So, I mean, even if you're wrong, you're entirely covered.
And now it rains in this area. You'll say, well, it rained here. I didn't say where it was going to rain. It rained over here.
Good point.
So, yeah, it's I just give me the block. All I need is that. That's it. Just give it. As a matter of fact, that's all I look at.
How do you think they created the Weather Channel? Like, that's been in business for a long time now, and it seems to be doing okay.
Oh, dude, people, I hate to say it, but they just love those natural disasters. I mean, not disasters so much, natural weather phenomenon. My man, I love it. My man, Mike. Oh, I took that off. My man, Michael. Listen, bam, from the very beginning. Appreciate you. We got to get Mike. Speaking of which, I got to go pick that stuff up. Visors, baby. The visors and hats are done. I've got to go get them. I owe a few people. I know Donald Sang is one of that is owed a visor. As a matter of fact, I'll make sure that anyone that sponsored anything during the for the Jordan Halls, I'll make sure you get one as well. Pete and Forrest, he probably already has one. Trying to think of everybody. Don't want to forget anyone. But yeah, that just cool. That just took me off guard. Been listening to me since the start. Since before it was actually Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Started out as Morning Madness.
Nice.
It's funny how you morph. Talking to like interns now that I have. There's one that I'm trying to get across that when you're an intern, it ain't supposed to be easy. Right. It's supposed to be one of the hardest times of your life. But I'm having difficulty. I've noticed I'm having difficulty with today's kids because I'm old school. And old school and new school don't do well. Not with this new school. They don't mesh well, man. They have a completely different belief system than what we had, or what I had as someone who I considered when I was an intern. You're a putz. You're nothing. You're lint. You're like a plebe. You're, whatever. If it's you're in a fraternity, you're whatever they call you. If you're in the military, whatever they call you, man, you're at the bottom. You do whatever you can and get to do just to get whatever experience you can get. And you love every second of it. A lot of today's kids are not all like that. I think they think that it's they just step into something that's just ready there for you. And I'm like, it don't work that way, boys and girls. If it was easy, anybody would and anybody could and everybody would do it. It's not easy.
Right.
It's not supposed to be.
And you learn more from those internships than, I mean, I don't want to say than job experience, but in terms of like what you learn in college and what you learn at the high school, whatever level of education you're at, those internships will teach you more about what you're going to be potentially doing in the future than anything else. I mean, I worked for the school newspaper. I worked at an internship at the small newspaper in town where I went to school. And it prepared me. I didn't get paid. That's a conversation for a different day, probably. I didn't get paid, but I attended more sporting events and learned more about the business and how to ask questions and take photos and stuff that I don't even need to learn. But I grew those skill sets because I was an intern, man. You just work your butt off because you never know what's going to happen. You don't know who you're going to meet. You don't know what the future holds. So you always work hard because make a bad first impression and you're up a creek without a paddle.
You get one chance to make a first impression, but you never know who you're going to meet. It's crazy the opportunities that come along and that happen. Bill Anderson, my man, I've seen him on here before. Born in New Albany. I should have said his last name, Bill A. Bill A, born in New Albany. We'll make it like Alcoholics Anonymous. Bill A was born in New Albany, grew up in Pekin, where actually I had an address at one time, and he's been up in the UP since 1991. Wow. I've been to the UP, folks. One of the coolest places to go to. I may have already told this story, but I had a rodeo in New Albany, Indiana, which that's actually where I'm down in Southern Indiana, the area where I'm from. But we had that weekend, but we were up Friday night. And I think it was this weekend, July 4th weekend, as a matter of fact, many years ago. But on Friday night in New Albany, that didn't even start until 8, got over probably at midnight. I took off driving by myself, got to Chicago in 3 hours and 20 minutes because I was driving a truck that had 2 gas tanks. Whew, just keep on rolling, baby, at 90 miles an hour. Got to Orfordville, Wisconsin, outside of Madison, met my partner. We got together, and then we drove on up and had to be in the UP we had a 2:00 rodeo that day in the afternoon. So from 8:00 the night before or midnight the night before to being in the UP at 2:00 the next afternoon. But the night before, talk about the weather. It was a typical July night. It was hot and it was humid, just like tonight could possibly be. Very hot, very humid, sweating. The next night it was a 2-head deal up at UP, but that next night up in the UP had to have a jacket on. But because there was no humidity, it was just beautiful wind off the lakes, the pine trees. It's gorgeous. If you haven't been there, you owe it to yourself. That's a great family trip right there. Go to the UP, folks. Beautiful place. Pete says he was still doing his internship with the Pacers. That's right. I remember that. I remember him telling the story. He drove Reggie around in his jacked up car. Tried to kill him.
Nice.
I think he tried to kill him with some carbon monoxide poisoning or something. But no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, that's funny too. That's a funny story. I remember I was working for CBS and I had to go to the airport and pick up Tim McCarver. Former pitcher Tim McCarver was on the Jack Buck and Tim McCarver. They did the broadcast team. And my muffler was jacked up in my car. It was loud. Yeah. So when he got into the car, and I thought it would be smart to turn the radio up to try to cover the sound of the muffler because I'm embarrassed because I'm picking up Tim McCarver, the guy who's going to be talking to America tomorrow on CBS for this baseball game. And I've got this jacked up muffler And then so I got that radio up loud, and that lasts about a minute or two. And he's like, "Hey, Jim, you think we could turn that radio down a little bit?" Yeah, he much preferred to listen to the buffer than the radio. Tim calls his interns turds. Nice. So there's that. Let's see. Make sure I don't miss anything. Man, Wyatt says most people in his generation think they're entitled to the world. They get to go and throw a fit when they don't get. There is a lot of that, man. I have to say, I'm not talking about my guys, but there is some of that out there. You certainly see across everything. Sports is getting how bad. It has to find its level, but I'm worried, John, are we needing to take a break? I guess we do. It's 9. We will. When we come back, we're going to talk about how will college athletics, how badly will this affect college athletics? We're getting into a generation that already started to seem entitled. I'm not trying to be negative, but I think that most people would agree with me. This latest generation has kind of been a little bit of entitlement. COVID has not helped. Giving an extra year. Oh, let's give it to you. And now you've got everything being made easy with the transfer portal, with the name, image, likeness, and some guy just getting all of this. There's no way it does not have a negative impact on college athletics and trickle down to high school athletics and maybe beyond. We'll talk about that and much more. Chris Denari is joining us today as well. You're listening to Indiana Sports Beat, brought to you by BB's Market, all part of the WOW Network. Go to mynownetwork.com, mywownetwork.com. That's a lot to speak. But just join the WOW Club. Go to your Apple App Store or Google Play Store and join the WOW Club. Sign up. Start earning dining dollars and more today, especially like BB's Market, who is your local meat shop, steakhouse, and caterer. No matter where you live, some of the best custom meats around. You can find them. Visit bbsmarket.com. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
The sun is out. Notre Dame is really killing it in recruiting.
Football?
Yep.
Or basketball?
Football.
Didn't Indiana pick up another guy yesterday? I can't remember who it was, but I saw a report about it.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they got another 3-star. Notre Dame is killing it in recruiting, man. I know we can't go there, but they're just killing it, dude.
Well, Marcus Freeman has been there, done that, so he's.
What's so funny, every time when something happens, like you lose a coach, like they lost, you think, well, that's going to take a hit, because most times it does. The biggest example of this is Michigan State. I can't think of an example where a coach that I thought was going to be kind of difficult to replace, even though they were not on great times. But Mel Tucker comes in and everything just shoots up like a rocket. And I'm like, okay, how the hell does that happen?
Because of the transfer portal era, he wouldn't have been able to do
that. I understand.
That's 90% of it. 90%.
I understand that. But why in the F does Michigan State pay him $9.5 million off the bat? Just right off the bat. He had done nothing yet. And I'm like, okay, that's not making sense to me.
No, I don't know either. My guess is they think it's in the long run, maybe it's cheaper.
Oh, no. I'm saying then, not now. I mean, it's working.
They were worried that LSU was going to poach him. That was one thing.
He probably did use that as leverage.
Because he was a big name in the offseason last year.
Well, but did what the hell's his name? It's at LSU now. I can't even think of his name.
The guy from
Brian
Notre
Kelly.
Dame came.
Yeah, Brian Kelly.
My family.
My friend Brian Kelly. How much is Brian Kelly making Mel Tucker money?
I don't know.
I don't know that he is. I think Mel Tucker's the third highest paid coach in the country.
He probably is.
Andy Moore Honda, Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Southern Stone Restaurant. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday. Brought to you by good friends at Southern Stone Restaurant, located at Patterson and Rogers in Bloomington, the part of the Wow Club. Go to mywownetwork.com or your Apple App Store, Google Play Store to join the Wow Club. Do that for us, if nothing else. They're a proud sponsor of Indiana Athletics and a sponsor of Indiana Sports Beat. So we greatly appreciate you supporting those who support us. And make sure you subscribe and hit the like button on YouTube. Give Dustin Schutte a follow at Schutte Sports. Oh, you had to change your deal, didn't you? Oh, I just noticed that on Twitter. Just noticed that. At Schutte Sports. That's actually better. I like that.
I like it too.
Actually, that's pretty good. Yeah. Mine was difficult. You wouldn't think. How many people have you met named Coyle in your life besides me? I'm going to guess 0, maybe 1.
I know of one other Coyle, and that's Mark Coyle, the athletic director at Minnesota.
No. Not know of. No.
I know two Coyles. I know 2 Coyles. Not that's including you. I know 3.
Okay, well,
none of them related.
Exactly. And so it's not, you don't hear about it very often. And when you do, we're like, oh, well, I don't know. I don't think I'm related to that person. So
there's also a Coyle Chevrolet down here. Not trying to plug, but.
Well, trust me, if I had a nickel for every time I've been asked that question and got to the point to where I introduced myself, Jim Coyle, no, that I thought that became my last part of my last name. But now I'm getting off topic. What was I talking about? Dustin?
We were talking about before the break, or
no,
coming out
just
of the
now.
break.
Just now.
Coming out of the break, we were talking about my Twitter handle.
Oh yeah. Oh, so that's why I'm like, so even though Coyle is not that, it's not a Smith. First of all, you got Jim or James, which is fairly common. James Patrick Coyle, just straight Irish, straight, Catholic Irish. James Patrick Coyle, and I'm not Catholic. My mom is, but I probably should have been, but that's neither here nor there. But yeah, so anyway, there were no good options for me. I couldn't get like my name straight. I had to add something to it, but I like the long and short of it is I like Schutte Sports.
Yeah, I went through a similar issue. Like I tried my name and I couldn't get it on any level. I couldn't like Dustin underscore Schutte, Dustin. A lot of those have been taken. So
that's what I'm saying. That's why. So at Jim Coyle ISB is where I settled on, and I kind of like it's easy. It rolls off. As a matter of fact, Twitter followers, make sure give me a follow, please, at Jim Coyle ISB, and you can do the same at Schutte Sports. And that's SCHUTTE SPORTS. Hey, the NBA National Basketball Players Association Top 100 happening in Orlando right now. yesterday. Gabe Cupps, 6 points on 1 of 2 shooting. He was 4 of 4 at the line with 2 assists. Derek Queen, these guys are all playing together. Derek Queen from Montverde. Gabe Cupps, obviously an Indiana commit. Derek Queen, a recruit. He had 4 points on 2 of 7 shooting with 7 rebounds and 2 assists. Bryson Tiller, 4 points, 1 of 4 shooting, 3 rebounds. Darren Peterson had 12 points on 50% shooting, 2 of 3 from 3 and 3 rebounds. So he had a great day. Flory Badunga, playing for the Rockets down there, had 8 points on 4 of 5 shooting. I'm going to take a wild guess and guess that 4 of 4 of those were dunks. For the Mavericks team, Cohen Carr had 8 points on 3 of 5 shooting. He also was 2 of 3 from behind the arc. Bryson Tuckers had 5 points on 2 of 11 shooting. Not very good day there for him. Another target, Aiden Sherrill, 4 points on 2 of 4 shooting. Connie Ruths, 2 points. Xavier Booker did not record a single point in his game. 0 of 2. Arrington Page, 8 points, 3 of 9 shooting, 6 rebounds. He's looking stronger and stronger. KJ Evans, 10 points, 4 of 7 shootings, 2 of 3 from deep. Man, you talk about that dude right there. That's the guy. He's the next big thing out of Montverde over Derek Queen, I believe. But Arrington Page is also probably I think that he has got to be Indiana's top target priority out of that group. And that includes Xavier Booker. The knock on Booker has been his motor. And I had several people comment. I was not able to make it up to the deal last weekend. But a lot of people comment that it just looked like that Flory Badunga, who had scored all his points on dunks inside, was just outworking Booker. I don't think Booker likes to work that hard on defense. He likes playing out on the perimeter and shooting. I just don't think he likes to work hard on defense. And you have to like it. You have to learn to crave it. You have to learn to crave getting that stop. You have to crave. I mean, I promise you, I use Michael Jordan as an example. He was one of the best defenders that there was. He just craved it all. He craved winning. And that's the thing. If you crave winning, you will be a good defender because you can't win without defending.
Well, I think what happens a lot of times with these, high school prospects is they can be so talented offensively that they don't necessarily need to work hard on the other end of the floor. And so what a lot of times you'll hear college players who maybe don't play as much as freshmen, or maybe they get started later in the year when they see more playing time. It's because, and a lot of times they'll say, coach made it a priority. I've got to be more focused defensively before I could see the floor. Because at high school, you can get away with being a great offensive player, and you can just kind of go through the motions defensively. And whether it's size, your athleticism, talent, whatever it might be, usually that will be good enough against a lot of the players you're playing against. But when you get up to that D1 level, when you're in the Big Ten or ACC or really any league in college basketball, you've got to make an effort to be good on both ends of the floor. Because if not, you become a liability. And we've reached the point now where shooting is a lot better from the perimeter. So you've got to be able to defend from basically the basket all the way out to 5 feet behind the 3-point line. So it's always interesting to me to see that some guys have it immediately. They know that they need to be good defensively to see the floor. Other guys are just, if they score 25 points a game, a lot of times, why do they need to be that good defensively? I don't want to say that they're lazy. I think it's just the fact that they don't understand how big of a jump it is to that next level and how good the talent jump is from high school and some of these AAU leagues to the Big Ten, to the ACC or SEC or wherever you're playing.
Well, until you experience it, you cannot imagine it, no matter what it is. You can't imagine the jump from high school to D1 until you experience it. You cannot imagine the jump from D1 to the NBA until you experience it, because each one of those jumps, the chasm goes greater. And there's no greater jump, I think, but I think there's no greater jump from high school to college, because there's the difference between kids and men in a lot of instances, physically, from a physical and sometimes a mental standpoint. But I look at kids like Jalen Harrelson, who is going to be a sophomore in Indiana, Trent Sisley, who is going to be a sophomore in Indiana. And these guys look like they could be, if you told me they were a sophomore in college, I would not think twice. Whereas most kids their age look like kids their age, skinny. Hell, I know what I look like as a sophomore. I was 6 foot and 145 pounds. It's big difference, but it's amazing. But yeah. Wyatt says you can't deny Booker's height, length, and athleticism, but to me, it was, if he was 6'5", he'd be an average to above average player, but he isn't 6'5", he's 6'11", with a 7'5" wingspan that can shoot. There's truth to that. His height, length, and athleticism is what makes him such a sought-after prospect, right? Those three things provide him such a great potential. Exactly. But if you don't, and people take chances on potential, but now we're in a culture where not only do the players have the ability to move on quickly, the coaches kind of can too. They'll just recruit over you. They'll bring in somebody else in with the portal, and you're, I hate to say you're dead to me, but yeah, maybe he'll find it, because to make it in the NBA, to make it at any next level, you have to have your motor running. I mean, if you think these guys don't work their asses off, even in the off season, you're crazy. They make a lot of money, but they work hard too. I mean, and I'm not saying are they always putting in a 10, 11 hour day? Nah, I'm not saying that, comparing that to someone who does that, but their 6-hour days probably would be comparative to a lot of people's 12-hour days, because of what it endures, and the things they have to put their body through, the time lost. You don't have a normal life.
Right. Well, and okay, I don't know. I don't remember back this far, but here's an example, in my opinion. Did Jordan Hulse play as a freshman? Did he play a lot as a freshman at Indiana? I legitimately don't remember. I
don't either, but I'm going to go with a no on that.
So this is my point. The problem with the transfer portal is, let's say Jordan didn't play much, or he was on we can acknowledge that at first they were not good teams, right? Until later in his career, he did not play on good teams. But the point is that
Jordan's not a guy with this example, though, because here's my who had to battle and learn and fight.
But this is my point, though. The problem with the transfer portal is, if you're a good player on a bad team, you can go on to somewhere else who's competing for a national championship immediately. If you're a player who's not getting playing time immediately, you can go to another school. Imagine if a guy like Jordan Hulse, who maybe didn't play as much as a freshman or was a part of a bad team early in his career, just moved on. He had to battle through that adversity, and it resulted in him being part of a Big Ten championship winning team. And it also resulted in him having, a decade-long career in professional basketball in Europe?
He averaged that's 25 minutes a game as a freshman. Not only did he start 17 games there, Caleb, thank you. But he averaged 25 minutes a game. Yeah. And
so I couldn't remember, but the point was those teams weren't that good.
Nope.
Early in his career. So point being is, let's say even that. So he could have gone to somewhere else in the Big Ten if the transfer portal. He could have gone somewhere that was competing for a national championship, and whether he was a starter somewhere else or he played a big role, there are a lot of teams that would have.
I'll tell you the guys that make an example of her on that team: Victor Oladipo, or Christian Watford, who were bigger names. Those guys, Cody Zeller. I mean, well, Cody Zeller was an Indiana kid. I'm trying to, especially people like Jordan was a Bloomington guy, less likely to do that. But Cody, or Victor Oladipo, he's from Maryland. So I could see that of happening then, like that. But yeah, exactly. I agree with your point.
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's not anything about Jordan or in particular. I'm just saying, now you see players, look at some of these guys that play on mid-major teams. Look at some of these guys that are playing on teams that are bad. If they have a star outing, they can leave and go to a conference championship contender, to an NCAA Final Four contender, and you don't have to go through that adversity. And that, to me, that's what is going to be a problem with this game, because like you just mentioned, if you're not willing to go get developed, if you're not willing to get your butt chewed or put in the work that you need to, you can just say, hey, you know what, I'm going to go somewhere else. You know what, actually, Evansville looks pretty good. I'll play 30 minutes for the Aces, no problem. And you don't have to fight through that. That, to me, is the biggest problem with the transfer portal. I understand why, if a coach leaves after he's recruited a player, why we would open up the portal to that. But this idea that players can transfer, especially freshmen, I think you need to leave it at 2 years to give them the opportunity to learn. We've had that conversation multiple times. It's just, it kind of feeds into that, I'm not getting my way here, I'm going to pick up my ball and go home. And that's not the case with every player that enters the transfer portal, but by God, it's happening frequently.
Well, there's nothing bigger than Memphis transfer and former number 1 high school basketball prospect recruit Emoni Bates transferring from Memphis and Penny Hardaway's beleaguered program to play for the hometown Eastern Michigan. I don't even know what they are. What's Eastern Michigan? I know Central Michigan or the I know all the
Eastern.
Let's see. I know the answer to all three. I'm curious what your all's answers are. What is
I don't
the Eastern
know.
Michigan mascot?
I don't know.
I know
Central Michigan Chippewas.
Yep.
Yeah, you got
Western Michigan.
Western Michigan. Western Michigan. What are they like?
They're the same name. Actually, both Eastern and Western have the same mascot name as professional football teams.
All right, we'll go.
Western Michigan's the Broncos.
Correct.
Eastern Michigan is
because there are so many Broncos in Western Michigan.
The Eastern Michigan are the Eagles, but because of their name, EMU, their abbreviation is the Fighting Emus. Yeah.
And they also live in Ypsilanti, Michigan.
Yep, Ypsilanti. Well, that's where he's from, Ypsilanti. He released a list in early May of 6 schools: Michigan, Arkansas, Seton Hall, DePaul, and Louisville, as well as Eastern Michigan. And if you would have looked at that list, I would have been a little surprised to see DePaul on there. Other than that, no, all those others are major deals. Michigan, Arkansas is really on the rise with, damn it, what's his name?
Eric Musselman.
Eric Musselman with Keith Smart at his side. DePaul is, they've been down for so long, but Louisville is still getting recruits. But for Eastern Michigan to land him, I don't know what that says. I'm not saying anything salacious went on. I'm like, okay, so is he planning on being in college for 1 year? I'm wondering what his plan is. I'm just curious because Eastern Michigan can't be that good. They're not on TV. I'm trying to understand the process of that. So help me with that. Was there an
explanation? I can't look. If everything's even across the board here, I don't know if I have an explanation behind it. I don't know if he provided an explanation. It could be he just wants to be playing closer to home. That could be a real thing. I don't know. And I didn't see, I saw that he picked Eastern Michigan. I didn't see if there was a reason or if he provided an explanation or what the case was, but
a team that has not Eastern Michigan, a team that has not reached the NCAA tournament since 1998. 98.
You know what this kind of reminds me? Well, I shouldn't say reminds me of because I wasn't alive, but it's almost like Larry Bird transferring from Indiana to Indiana State. You was Indiana State? I mean,
but back then, this was a whole different deal. Larry Bird was not the number one recruit in the country. Nobody knew who the hell nobody knew who the hell Larry Bird was outside of Indiana. And Bob Knight didn't realize how Larry Bird actually was, or he probably would have gone after him, even though he says, I wasn't going to go after him. I wouldn't go after anybody. And he meant that. And then but in that same statement, he said, but at that time, I wish I'd have known Larry Bird probably needed somebody to go after him at that time is what he needed. But anyway, this is a completely different situation because of the NIL. Do I think he's getting a bunch of NIL? Nah, but he's maybe getting something, but nothing. I don't think anything big. The plan is what's next. I think that's what I'm trying to understand here. He played one season under Penny Hardaway, of course, at Memphis, missed 15 of 33 games because of a back injury that required him to go back home to see a specialist. And he struggled when he was on the floor. So again, this is the number one prospect coming out. So people, all these rankings and stuff, you got to take them with a grain of salt. The coaches watch players more is what's more important to me. They know what they think is going to be something that fits into their program and whatnot. Right? I think we're late for a break.
Okay, I'll hold my thought.
Yeah,
then.
Hold that thought. What is your thought? And we'll tease it.
Because you complained about how Archie Miller recruited and where Indiana stood in the recruiting rankings, and now you're saying they don't necessarily matter?
No. I'm saying every player ranking is not always. You can't every player single player ranking. There are some misses in there, but you can bring that up. We'll certainly talk about it because there's nothing about that I'm going to back down. Hey, you're listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio on this Thursday, and we appreciate you. Make sure you hit the sign up and like button as well. Give us a follow on Twitter at Jim Coyle ISB or at Schutte Sports, as Dustin Schutte from theoutsider.com with me. Brought to you by Southern Stone, located at Patterson and Rogers in Bloomington, all part of the WOW Club. MyWowNetwork.com is where you can find it, or in your Google or Apple App Store. Go there and sign up. Support those who support us. Back with more right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Andy Moore Honda.
All right.
Yeah, that's why I knew something was wrong. They were the Hurons, man.
Oh, geez, that's awful.
Why? What is a Huron? Isn't it a bird?
Isn't that the lake? I thought that was the lake, Lake Huron.
But I thought it was a bird too.
Yeah, maybe there is a bird.
We may be pushing Chris back to 10-10 potentially. He's waiting on somebody at his house.
That's all right.
Oh.
What's wrong with the Hurons, man? It's like the Lakers. And that makes zero sense because it's LA and it came from Minneapolis. They came from Minnesota. Minnesota, originally were Minneapolis Lakers. That landed 10,000 lakes.
Isn't that the same thing with the Jazz, the Utah Jazz? Weren't they in
New Orleans?
Yeah.
How do you? That's of all the team changes. There's a lot that I'm like, why did you even change your name? It's stupid. There are some that I'm like, how the hell do you not change your name? How does Utah not change their name to the Utah Flats or the Utah Shakers? Get it? Salt shaker, salt flats. The Utah, I don't know.
Dustin, tell him the joke you made this morning on Twitter.
Anything besides the Utah Jazz, because there's no damn Jazz in Utah.
Especially in Utah.
And there are no lakes in Los Angeles.
No.
Well, that's not completely true, but it's not You think of Los Angeles, what do you think of? Lakes or ocean?
The Los Angeles Oceans.
There you go.
But
The
the
waves,
LA Lakers,
the breakers.
see, they could have been the Waves. The LA Waves.
It's like
It just sounds like a women's team name.
Now, if they had changed the name back then when they moved, that would have been a hell of a name to have, even today. The LA Waves.
It's like semi-pro, the Flint Tropics. They could have been the Los Angeles Tropics.
Ooh, hey now, don't crack on the tropics. Have you ever been hit in the jejunum?
All right, Chris is going to do 10-10. But this will still need to be a shorter segment to get us back on track.
There's
we'll
no such thing
pop
as
back in at 9:50.
There is no such thing as back on track. There you go. See, I told you. What did I tell you?
Oh, it's
a heron. A heron.
But is it
Damn it. There's blue heron. There's blue heron. Oh, I didn't say Huron.
A heron is a bird, but a Huron is not.
Okay, so
were they the herons or the Hurons?
The herons? I don't know, Tim.
We don't know anything on Indiana sports beat. We just talk and hope you listen.
Are you giving us, Tim? Are you giving us accurate information? I'll have to pull that.
I'll look it up and let you know.
They were formerly known as the Normalites and the Hurons. Right, so it looks like it was okay.
It's Advanced Realty. Let Cheryl Sizemore get you in the home you want today. Cheryl at IndyHomePros.com.
This segment is brought to you by Courtroom Sports Grill in Bedford. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back. Little sounds of the Scottish Fighting Marching Band or something there. I don't know what that is.
I was thinking Pirates of the Caribbean.
Never saw any of those movies. Back Indiana Sports Beat Radio air on this Thursday, brought to you by our good friends from the Courtroom Sports Grill down in Bedford. Pride themselves on providing their guests with fresh, innovative dishes designed to please your palate and your wallet. Every item on their menu is made from scratch using only the freshest ingredients, and they're a part of the WOW Club. Go to your Apple App Store, Google Play Store, sign up for the WOW Club today and start earning. Yeah, that was cool last night when I got that notice, the WOW Club. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. Open it up. 50% off at Cabello. Nice. I'm like, yeah, it is. I'm like going, dude, that's off of an entree, a dinner entree. And I'm like, yep, no strings attached. I'm like, I'm in. So I'm looking forward to getting my updates. And I got to get this set up so you guys can order your steaks and whatnot, and chops and sausages for the summer grilling. Let's see. I'm going through the comments on the Andy Moore Honda hotline, making sure we haven't missed. Caleb mentioned that Emoni Bates wasn't eligible for this year's draft, NBA draft, due to his age, in which you have to be 19. You got to wonder what the expectations are for him in the MAC. Still a grown man's league over there with good basketball. Is Antoine Davis, does he have a year left? Doesn't he have a year of eligibility left at Detroit?
I have no idea.
And I can't remember, is Detroit in the MAC?
I think Detroit's in the Horizon League, aren't they?
I think that you're correct. I was just checking to see if they would be playing, but Detroit Mercy, baby. How about Antoine Davis, Mike Davis's son? He hit the NIL home run.
Did he? I didn't hear about this.
Oh yeah, I don't know how much it was. Let's see, but he was sharing it with his teammates. He's the leading scorer in the country last year. I mean, his agent was able to like Seth Curry him, and he for someone. How many people get attention at a school like Detroit Mercy?
Right.
Very few.
Great point.
Very
and
few.
Especially not only because of the size of the school, but Detroit is a pro sports town. You got the Pistons, the Lions, the Tigers, the Red Wings. I mean, I'm not saying that those are good pro sports teams, but it's a pro sports town. So for him to do that in a small market and in a big pro sports town like Detroit, that's a pretty good deal for him.
Absolutely. It's been reported. Let's see what I'm trying to find. He's the reigning Horizon League Player of the Year. He sits currently at number 22 on the NCAA D1 all-time scoring list.
Wow.
With
Didn't know that.
2,374 points. Of course, he plays for his dad, former IU coach Mike Davis. He was third in the nation in scoring last season at 24 points a game, had higher averages in each of the previous 3 seasons. As a freshman, he scored 26 points a game, and 24 as a junior. So I wonder what that's going to, just if we do his average, where he's going to end up. But man, that's pretty cool though. When you play for your dad, you got the green light to shoot. Yeah. But if you're hitting on the rate that he does, he entered the transfer portal. It was funny. Mike Davis was on last summer. We did a show and we were talking about the portal, I think. And he was laughing. He goes, I think I'm going to put Antoine in the portal. He was just kidding, but he did enter the portal at one time. And when he did, he heard from Kentucky, Memphis, Auburn, Alabama, Ohio State, and others. I mean, yeah, he's a Seth Curry. He was the 7th best available prospect in the transfer portal. So I don't know what his NIL money is, but he signed. It was with Glowballs, a Chinese basketball manufacturer. And that was in Stadium with Jeff Goodman, but I don't know what how much it ended up being. It didn't say.
But he's splitting it with his teammates?
I've heard that he's sharing with his teammates, but it's probably, since it's from a Chinese company, man, they got monopoly money.
Well, I was gonna say, I wonder how much Dad recommended he split that money with the teammates because of, I mean, obviously he's a great player, but at the same time you have the coach and his son getting a big NIL deal, and everybody else on the team. I mean, I don't know if anybody else has one or not on the team, but I'm guessing if it does, they probably pale in comparison to what he's receiving. So there was probably a nudge from Dad to say, hey, you might want to share a little bit of this with some of the guys on the team.
I would absolutely agree, because he's probably not sharing the ball a lot, getting all those shots up, and they are apparently sharing the ball with him a lot. Our old friend Jeffrey the Greek put up a Twitter post a minute ago with, I guess there's a picture that has Brett Favre, John Elway. There's Dallas Cowboys quarterback Roger Staubach, Peyton Manning, Joe Montana, Tom Brady, and John Marino, or Joe Marino. What the hell's his first name?
Dan Marino.
Dan Marino. Too many names here. Marino.
Joe Marino.
What a group that is. But I think he listed his 7 out of that group in his order. His order was Brady, Montana, Manning, Elway, Favre, Marino, and Staubach. I don't know how anybody's ever going to. First of all, I don't know how you can pick a number 1, but if you're going to, I don't know how you could not pick Brady, and I don't like Brady. I don't like the pay. Right. But how do you not? I mean,
wait, you still don't like Tom Brady?
No. Why would the hell would I like Tom Brady?
Oh man, he's so much more likable ever since he went to Tampa. Oh, I disagree. No, he's not.
He tried to retire just so he could get out of his contract and go to Miami to screw Tampa Bay over. That's the kind of guy he is. And he got caught. he was trying to do the dealings with the Miami owner who was in hot water. So, It
worked out for him. I don't see, that doesn't bug me. It's not my money, so I don't. But you notice how quickly he came back after Bruce Arians stepped down. So,
the one thing I do know is every one of these guys are just competitors.
Yeah.
And you want to learn something about just being a competitor? Watch the 30 for 30 of who is the Christian Laettner, Duke Christian Laettner.
Oh yeah, yeah.
All right, is there anybody or we have to hit another break, John? Damn.
Got to catch up.
Well, no, we got a couple minutes because we're at 10:10, right? We're at yeah. So, what was I saying? My ADHD brain.
You're competitive.
Oh yeah,
Christian Laettner.
Oh yeah, you watch that 30 for 30. His own teammate, he drove his own teammates crazy, including Hurley, Bobby Hurley. He told stories about either in practice or in games when Christian Laettner would put the ball in bounds, he would purposely leave it short. So Hurley had to come back and get the ball. And one time they were in practice and Hurley got so mad he threw the ball and hit him in the head. And he said he took off running and didn't stop, just left the gym and just kept running because he was chasing him. But the one thing I learned is that he was just a freaking competitor. He was just a competitor he was for 4 years in college basketball. He may have been the most competitive player out there.
Well, I mean, just look at, you could pick a number of those 30 for 30s. I mean, go back to the Last Dance with Michael Jordan. I mean, getting in fights with teammates, pushing them to get better. There's just so many stories about that kind of competitive nature where these guys I don't want to call them jerks, but they're just so competitive that they want everybody to be great around them, and they don't care who they upset or what happened. I mean, I remember Kobe Bryant. What was it? I don't remember which finals it was, but the Lakers were up 2-0 in a series, and he's at the podium, and they said, "We're not even seeing a smile. What's going on?" And he's like, "What's there to be happy about? Job's not done." I mean, you're up 2-0. A lot of guys would probably be like, "Yeah, we're in a good spot right now." But for those fierce competitors who know what it takes to be great, they're legitimately never satisfied until the end of the season. They're holding that trophy.
And I got to tell you, going to Tampa Bay and winning a Super Bowl there, that kind of cemented it for me, for Tom Brady.
Right.
I mean, I again, trust me, I say what I think. I don't like Tom Brady. I'm not a fan, but damn it, he did it he did it too many times in too many different scenarios with too many different people. And I'm like, wow. It's not doing it in two places. It's just going there and doing it in a place that I didn't think was set up to win a Super Bowl, but I wasn't following them. They had a hell of a coach, so maybe they were. And then he brings Gronk in, which helps them. And all right, John's going to beat me on the head if I don't take a break. So we got to take a break. When we come back, we'll talk some baseball and a little basketball and everything else you want to talk about. Indiana Sports Beat, brought to you by our friends at the Courtroom Sports Grill down in Bedford. Make sure you stop by. Everything on their menu is made from scratch using only the freshest ingredients. Part of the WOW Club. Make sure you go to the Apple App Store and Google Play Store and become a member of the WOW Club. Like me. You'll love it. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting Bloomington or...
I should have known that, and I did not know that the Rams came from Cleveland.
Well, they've been all over the
Cleveland.
Well, I know that, but I don't know that I knew that they came from Cleveland.
I didn't know that.
All right. I'm backing out of my camera and my mic. I got to take a quick break.
I guess he had gas.
Maybe. Hey, what's up, David Cattell, fellow Indiana football podcast listener? I know he listens to the podcast from Dustin did it last year. He says, looking forward to IU football.
Oh, yeah, he's down in Florida.
I'm working on bringing Mitchell Page along for the ride for this season of the podcast, so I'll obviously announce that if that becomes official, but I haven't checked his availability if he can do that with us every week. All right, 30 seconds. We may or may not have Dustin in the beginning of this. Who knows? Oh, here he is. He's back. He's back.
Welcome back.
I don't even know what kind of accent that was, but it was weird.
Bloomington's #1 Honda dealer. Get more to your door with AndyMooreHonda.com.
Come see us at the all-new Andy Moore Honda, now in Bloomington.
This segment is brought to you by Feast Market and Cellar. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Riding on the range. Dustin Schutte's, I can't rhyme. It just sounded like we were coming back to a riding out on the range show or something.
Dustin Schutte's awfully strange. Should have been the next line.
Well, that would have been great. Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat on this Thursday, brought to you by our friends from Feast Market and Cellar, part of the WOW Club. Make sure you go there, sign up, Apple App Store, Google Play Store. Gets that done. You will not regret it, I promise you. Feast Market and Cellar, located next door to Southern Stone Restaurant on Patterson and Rogers in Bloomington, offering an extensive wine selection with a sommelier on staff. They'll help you pair that selection for your next dinner. That's what you need, right?
Yeah,
Mr. Schutte?
exactly. It is what I need. Need all the recommendations I can get.
On this day in 1982, as a favor to Bob Knight, Red Auerbach selecting Landon Turner with the final pick of the 1982 NBA draft, to me, is still one of the classiest moves ever in pro sports.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Because they don't waste draft picks ever.
Mm-mm.
And Landon Turner had just, this is when he had, the summer after he had been paralyzed. And actually, it was the summer afterwards. Of course, the draft was, he was paralyzed in the summer of 81. The draft was in 82, but for them to select him in the draft still, that was is just a favorite of Bob Knight. Very, very classy move.
Yeah, I mean that's something you don't see really a lot of. Or I don't even know if I've seen anything quite like that. I mean, Eric LeGrand, the Rutgers player who was paralyzed in the game. I know the Bucks, Tampa Bay Buccaneers signed him when Greg Schiano was the head coach down there, but I don't think he was drafted. So it's very cool when those things do occur. It's such a nice, touching tribute, especially in those two situations.
Well, and it also shows the duality and the stark, without question, 180-degree light and dark contrast of Bob Knight.
Mm-hmm.
There may be nothing that expresses that better than this right here. I mean, on one end, he was a complete a-hole, a jackass who would do things that are beyond comprehension and are beyond the comprehension of what most people don't even know. They don't know. Most people do not know the real bad stuff. They think they do because they know a lot of bad stuff. Oh, they don't know the bad stuff. That's the thing. I assure you, you do not. I don't know all the bad stuff, bad stuff, but I know some of the bad stuff, and it really, like, wow. But then there's the opposite side. It's just a duality in personalities, greatness. We think of genius, the minds of genius people. And I think it's very ironic that Pat Summitt, Bob Knight, and Dean Smith, three of the most successful coaches ever in college basketball, all suffer with late year mental incapacity situations, to where they lose whether it's through Alzheimer's or whatever it is. But all three of them, it would just seem just coincidence, but all three, Bob Knight he was a genius. I mean, I really believe that he was a genius in how he saw things and was able to do what he did. Pat Summitt, obviously, she was ahead of her time. I mean, she was, she was doing it before UConn. She was UConn first and was doing it before Title IX.
Yeah.
So she was packing arenas, baby. They were packing that what was that bowling something arena?
I don't. Yeah.
They were packing that place. The men weren't.
Thompson Bowling Arena is its official name.
There you go, Thompson. They were packing Thompson Bowling Arena. The men's team was not, but the women's team was.
And you remember she and Bob Knight were very similar, because I don't know if people remember this, but when UConn was first coming up, when Gino Auriemma was kind of getting that thing rolling, she accused him of, recruiting violations. I don't think she came out and said it exactly, but she hinted at it quite a bit. And as we know, Bob Knight was never a stranger to make those kind of comments too. So, she, like you said, Jim, she was doing it before. I don't know that there was ever a program as dominant as Tennessee in women's basketball until then. And obviously I'm not a savant in that area, but I do know that that's a great summation. She was UConn before UConn was UConn.
Jeff Bush joining the show for the first time. Love it. Wins the day, wins the comment section for the day. First time listener, guys. Great show, Jim. No. Do you get it? Does anybody get it? Am I the only person that's getting this?
I think you are. Explain it to me.
You know what? he wins a visor because apparently he's the only person paying attention. A minute earlier, when we were talking about my name, and someone brought up, but the fact that you're not from my area hurts you a little bit. But there is a very long time car dealership down in Southern Indiana that we both share the same last name. So although it's not a very familiar name, car dealers advertise constantly. So that name was constantly out there. And every time I would introduce myself at home, it was, oh, are you related to, every time. And that's why I said, I started just saying Jim Coyle. No, Jeff Bush is paying attention because Jeff Bush said, Jim, great show, Jim. No, Jeff Bush, get it? Bush Light. You're like the guy on the Bush Light commercial. Remember when they open the can and it goes, Bush.
Yep.
And he goes, okay, what was that second beer? And he's like, really? I guess I'm having my own fun today, man.
Apparently you are. We're missing out. Apparently I'm not paying attention. That's what I've learned.
I love it when little, oh man, see that little detail? That I'm gonna giggle about that all day. Jeff, you made my day, brother. But I need to know where you're from. Got to put that in the book. Thank you, Forrest. Appreciate you. Robert on as well. Okay, who has 1 year? I don't know who we're talking about there.
Antoine Davis. That's who we were talking about earlier. Probably still has a year of eligibility left, and I didn't know the answer.
But he's not in the MAC, correct? He is in the Horizon. Mike Lewis and Ball State get a shot at Emoni Bates.
Oh, there you go.
It's going to be interesting following Ball State. Caleb, thank you for bringing that up. It'll be interesting following the exploits of not only Michael Lewis, but Michael Lewis and Jamal Meeks, who were on that Ball State staff. You've got Keith Smart on the Arkansas staff. I really, really, really wish I had the time, or I had someone who had the time. I've got somebody in mind. I'm going to have them try to research this, and it would take a lot of trouble. But the managers or players from Indiana that have or are coaches.
Yeah.
I bet it's a long list. I bet it's a long list too. I bet it is a long list because the amount of managers that are in the business would blow your mind. I mean, Lawrence Frank, of course, the most well-known, went on to become head coach in the NBA, and now he's in the NBA front office, but you've got other people in the front office as well. We got to take a break. Speaking of NBA, our good friend Chris Denari, voice of the Indiana Pacers, joins us coming up next, fresh off of the NBA draft as things are settling in. We'll see if he took them around the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Maybe they let him drive them around in there. Let Chris take those corners. Back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio, brought to you by our good friends from Feast Market and Cellar, as well as our good friends from Remax Realty. If you're in the market for a home in the Indianapolis area, you want to live by Chris, you need Cheryl Sizemore, and her 2 decades of experience could be the difference between getting the home you want and not. We're back with more Indiana Sports Beat Radio and Chris Denari right after this.
We'll be right back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Whether you're visiting...
What's up, guys?
How are you, brother? How is it going? How was draft night? Did they have St. Elmo's cater this affair? I want to hear that.
I mean, they had the draft picks the day after the draft. They went out to the Speedway, and then they went to St. Elmo's. But we had a huge party up in Carmel at Midtown. So we had a really good party, and then they also had a draft party at District Tap. So, yeah, it was good.
Sounds
you're the last interview I can do for a week, because we go on a moratorium, because even though free agency starts, it's not necessarily official that all the deals that are done are not official until the new league year starts next week. So once 6 o'clock comes, can't talk.
Really? 6 p.m. today?
Yeah.
I'm going to ask a dumb question because I legitimately don't know the answer. Are you employed by the Pacers, by Bally Sports, or both? I'm
a team employee.
Okay.
Pacers. My salary is paid by Bally. I mean, they reimburse the Pacers, but I'm a Pacers employee, full Pacer benefits, everything like that.
Okay.
Yep.
Because I think
that's the way. Taylor. What? Yeah, Taylor's a Colts employee. Yeah.
Right. I didn't know if it was the same way.
Yeah, theirs is a little different because it's Colts radio. Even though it's Pacers TV, it's owned by another company. The Pacers sell their rights to Sinclair or Bally. I'm going to say that most, I don't know, maybe half, 2/3 of the broadcasters in the NBA are team employees. And then there's a third that are regional sports network employees.
Gotcha.
I'd rather be absolutely rather be a team employee.
Yeah. I can understand that for sure.
Yeah, I've got Connecticut here right now tuning up my system for the summer.
Oh, yeah. We were talking about the weather earlier. Apparently I'm in Florida, so it's 90% humidity at 4 a.m.
Oh, it's been great in Indy. Now today, even when it's been 90, the humidity has been fairly low.
That's what I've said. Every night has been a joy.
Yeah.
But I also said last night was the last night of enjoyment. It's over for. I think it's going to be over for a while because buddy, the humidity, it's coming in and it's not going away.
Yeah, the good news is I won't be with you next Thursday because we're going to be on vacation in Michigan. But next week, it's supposed to be like 70s in Michigan.
You live, we should be. Ask for Indiana Sports Beat Radio. This segment is brought to you by K-Bello. Now back to the Golf Club at Eagle Point Studios for more Indiana Sports Beat Radio with Jim Coyle, presented by Endeavor Hospitality Group and Andy Moore Honda of Bloomington.
Welcome back, Indiana Sports Beat Radio here on this Thursday, brought to you by our good friends, K-Bello, part of the WOW Club. Make sure you go to the Apple App Store or Google Play Store and sign up. And go to K-Bello. That's where I got my 50% off. I got my notification for a 50% off of an entree, baby. And I can't wait to go have that. Maybe tonight. Chris Denari, post NBA draft, man. Did you get the stress out? Were you sweating? Was it just crazy in there? It looks like what's that show? Draft Day.
Yeah.
You got everybody going around. You got all these. It was pretty. Sounds like it was pretty calm.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I was up in Carmel. We had a huge draft party for season ticket holders at Midtown, and then they also had a draft party on the north side of District Tap, and they were both very well attended. And so I didn't have an opportunity until the next day to head downtown and see the press conference with the 3 new draft picks. And I think the Pacers were super excited. Benedict Mathurin is an outstanding talent. I think somebody who's going to fit right into what the Pacers want to do in the backcourt. In this day and age, you're looking at wings who can play defense, who can shoot it, who are just very athletic. And that's one of the things the Pacers were trying to get better. They want to be more athletic. Andrew Nembhard out of Gonzaga, who many thought would be a first-round pick. He was the first pick of the second round, so pick number 31. And then Kendall Brown out of Baylor. Some had him much higher than 48. The Pacers started the night with the 58th pick. That was the last pick in the second round, and they were able to get number 48. So I think they got 3 players they feel like can fit right into their future. They all come from winning college programs. I mean, Gonzaga, Arizona, and Baylor. And so it's just the next step. And then as Dustin knows, we were just talking, free agency starts tonight at 6. It's a little bit unofficial. You'll start hearing things. I was telling you guys that we have to go radio silent because there is a moratorium until the next league year starts, which is next week. And so all the things that you read and hear coming up after 6 o'clock, more than likely they're official, but nothing is really official until next week. So as a team employee, we have to take a step back, and I'll be at 6 o'clock very anxiously watching what's happening around the NBA as far as trades and free agency start.
And
so we get the last, and Chris mentioned we get the last interview with him. So we're shutting it down, baby. We're bringing it down right here. So all of you are so lucky, whether you're listening on the ref or wherever, we're shutting it down. I didn't want to interrupt you, but Dustin, but I'm ADHD and I'll forget my question. What was it like was there at least some scuttle when Jaden Ivey dropped after the 3 pick when he wasn't taken? I don't know if he was in there, how much he was in their thoughts, but when that happened, was there at least some, hey, we got to look at things here at the potential?
Well, I mean, but then Detroit took him at 5.
Right. Well, I just meant before that happened.
Is if you're able to move up, what are you going to have to give up? What assets do you have to give up? And I'm sure Detroit was sitting there. Hey, do you want Jaden Ivey? We also want your number 6 pick, and we want a player, or we want a pick from next year. And at some point, you have to decide, hey, we really like Benedict Mathurin, and we feel like he's a guy. I mean, I think you guys have read Tyrese Halliburton and he have already clicked and feel like they can be the backcourt of the future for the Indiana Pacers. So, yeah, Jaden Ivey's a tremendous talent. I think anybody would have wanted him to be a part of your franchise. But I can tell you that from the response that night when Ivey was taken 5th and then the Pacers are on the clock at 6, Pacers fans and season ticket holders were very excited to get Mathurin as a part of the Pacers.
And go ahead, Dustin.
Well, I was going to just ask, because up in Detroit now, you've got Cade Cunningham and you've got Jaden Ivey. The Pacers now have Ben Mathurin and Tyrese Halliburton. You look over at in Milwaukee, obviously they got Giannis. I mean, the Central Division, maybe not immediately, but is going to be probably one of the tougher divisions, I think, in the NBA. When you look at the amount of young talent, the amount of athleticism, and I know you could probably say that about a lot of divisions, a lot of teams across the NBA, but I look at the division in terms of the young talent there, and there's a lot of potential. And I almost hate that the Pacers are in that division because it is so loaded.
Yeah, look at Cleveland. I mean, Cleveland has Garland and Mobley and Sexton and Okoro. Chicago, added a lot of talent. The Eastern Conference is much stronger than it was 10 years ago. And I said this, the Pacers had a great run starting with the 8th seed in 2011. They had a 4-year run where twice they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think it's going to be much more difficult today to make those moves just because I think the East is much stronger than it was 8 to 10 years ago. And so you're right. If you just look at the Central Division and just how strong it is, I think, Dustin and Jim, what we've seen too, even though Golden State won the NBA title and we know how strong Phoenix was this year, I think if you look top to bottom from the Western Conference to the Eastern Conference, and I'm saying, again, top to bottom, all 15 teams, I think it would be very easy right now to say the East from 1 to 15 is much stronger than the West is at 1 to 15.
And I look at he comes from Arizona, so he comes from a winning program. Someone that they're going to expect scoring from. They're going to expect him to be an impact player immediately, being a first-round pick. It's not a case where you can, all right, we're going to let you grow a little bit. He's got to come in and perform and help this team now.
No question. And I think despite the injuries that Chris Duarte suffered, and basically they shut him down at the end of the year. I mean, this is a guy as a rookie out of Oregon last year, averaged 13 points a game. In his debut game in Charlotte, he went for, 20 plus. So I think when you're putting together what the Pacers are doing right now, light guys are all around the same age, Halliburton, Isaiah Jackson, Duarte, Mathurin. I think that's exciting to see. And, a lot's been made, what's going to happen, and we'll find out beginning tonight, Malcolm Brogdon, Miles Turner. But Chad Buchanan was very clear to say the other day on a radio interview here in Indianapolis, look, we are not shopping Miles Turner. We feel like he can be a real asset and be very beneficial to what we want to do moving forward. Now, that's not to say that teams are not calling the Pacers about Miles Turner. But what Chad said, look, we are not out there actively shopping him. We feel like he is a fit for this franchise. That's not to say that I think anybody in this league we've seen, there are very few players that are not tradable, right? But I think they want to see Miles with this group because Miles missed the last 40-plus games of the year last year. He never played with Halliburton. He never played with Buddy Hield. So there are a lot of questions that have to be answered once training camp comes at the end of September, early October.
For him is his last name is Turner and not Bridges right now. Makes him a lot more valuable.
Yeah, that's that was heartbreaking to see that happen. And I'm not even talking what I read for Miles Bridges, but the person that happened to. That's again, we don't know all the details, but you hate to see things like that. Absolutely,
Dustin.
Well, one of the things I was back on the Miles Turner topic is it seems to be there's almost like a split if you look at among Pacers fans on whether they'd like to see him go or whether they'd like to see him stay. But to me, I've always thought Miles is a very valuable piece. And while he may not be the best big man in the league, I almost feel like with this young group, he can almost fill that kind of role that Danny Granger did near the end of that 2011, 12, 13. He can be effective on both ends of the floor, and he can be like the Pacers need a leader. I don't think there's any doubt that on the floor they've got some leadership, but they need. And I think Miles, when he's on the bench, when he's on the floor, he's very vocal. He's a boisterous leader. I think the Pacers need that more than anything. So I would like to see how the season starts, and then if things maybe aren't working, or if whatever the situation might be, then maybe it becomes more of an opportunity for the Pacers to say, okay, we'll listen to some offers, but. I mean, obviously, like you just said, Chris, there's very few players in the league that aren't tradable. I just personally want to see a healthy Miles Turner with a young athletic group kind of provide that leadership because everything I've heard about Miles, he loves Indiana, he loves playing, and he wants to stay a Pacer.
There's no question about that. He's done so many good things on and off the floor for the Pacers. And I think when you look at where the Pacers are, just a couple of years ago, both Cleveland and Memphis, as they were building through young talent, they won somewhere between 25 and 29 games. So they have built around the draft and with young players. But again, then if you look at Memphis, they have a veteran center in Steven Adams. They have Dylan Brooks. You look at Cleveland, they're bringing Kevin Love off the bench with that young talent. You still have to have the right mix. Yeah, you want to go young. You want to develop your players. But you've got to have some veterans along the way to show them the way. And I think that's sort of, what you're striving for when you try to look at the sweet spot of developing your roster. And I think that's, the Pacers have taken some good steps. I like what they did last year with Duarte, Jackson, and Dwayne Washington Jr. coming out of that draft, if you will. I always count Washington Jr. as a draft pick. He was not drafted, but immediately signed to a contract the next day. And this year they added 3 more. So in the last 2 drafts, you've gotten, I believe, 6 young players that you feel like, and I feel like, can be a key part of your roster going forward.
And of course, but we all know that they're going to have to make some changes. It is almost a given fact that there are going to be trades that's been talked about. We don't know how that's going to happen. Thought that possibility that may have happened on draft day, but it didn't. GM says that sometimes you just have to walk away from a deal, and he's right. I mean, because there have been some big time mistakes made on draft day, and it's a lot easier to not make that mistake or to make that mistake and that quick, but you walk away. It's probably the wiser thing to do.
Yeah, draft day is just one part, and now we're entering parts 2 and 3. The second part are trades, the third part free agency, and then that sort of sets you up for the off season and for summer league that starts July 8th in Las Vegas. So yeah, the draft is a huge piece of what you're trying to do, but it's just one piece, and it was one night that teams were jockeying for position with draft picks and those types of things. We'll find out a lot more about what's going to happen in the NBA starting tonight at about 6:00.
Now you go on this moratorium, and I've got to ask because, being a play-by-play guy working for a team, some people think you just show up for the games and you just call it and that's the end of your day. And we all know that that's not the case. It's a 365-day job. But in this moratorium, what is Chris Denari doing when he's not around the NBA? What's he going to be doing with his week off?
He's in the garden, baby. He's got to get to the garden.
Well, next week we head to Michigan for a week. We've got 3 families that vacation together. We have 10 kids between us, 7 married now, and 3 grandkids. So there will be a mix of people together next week. And so I'll focus on that. But at the same point, I mean, in this day and age, we'll all have our phones, our iPads.
Yeah.
I'll be dialed in. And I really think, again, things won't be official starting tonight at 6, but you'll start hearing a lot of things the next 2 or 3 days. And then it sort of goes quiet for a few days. And then because free agency is sort of in tiers, right? We all know who sort of the top people are, and how it all fits into your salary cap and your exceptions and those types of things. So I think that the next 24 hours starting around 6:00 tonight will be pretty hefty and pretty busy across the NBA.
Absolutely. Looking forward to it. And I hope you have a great moratorium.
All right.
Enjoy. What part of Michigan you going to?
We go up to Crystal Lake, so it's just
whoa, Crystal Lake.
Yes.
Again, is it me or am I going crazy here? Is that not where the dude from Friday the 13th lives?
No, I don't. Well, I don't think so.
Come on, man!
I've never seen him.
Surely you saw. What was the movie? What was the movie I'm thinking of? People.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
No, it wasn't Nightmare on Elm Street. It was the one where he comes up out of the water at the end of the movie.
I've never watched it, and I won't watch it. I'm not a big scary movie guy.
It happened at Crystal Lake, Chris Denari. I'm telling you, it happened.
I don't go out there
at
night. I don't go out there at night.
Oh my God!
Nightmares now.
Yeah, now I'm gonna have nightmares. Thanks, Jim.
Well, wait till next week. I'm going to have this clip for you. It was the scariest moments I've ever seen in a movie.
No, you got to wait 2 weeks. I'm
all
right.
I'll tell you.
So in 2 weeks.
Almost got the biggest beating of my life because me and my brother scared that living SH crap out of my dad because we had already seen the movie the day before. We had just gotten cable, and then him and my sister were watching it, and I told my brother, I said, hey, go down to the other end of the couch. And when the dude jumps out, scream. When he jumped out of the water, we both screamed. And my dad and my sister, they both about had a heart attack. And I thought my dad was literally going to kill me. Jason from Friday the 13th.
Yeah, Friday the 13th franchise.
Yeah.
Crystal Lake. Absolutely.
So 2 weeks from now, you have that clip for me, John.
I can't wait, baby. Have a great time, Chris Denari. Appreciate you, brother.
Guys.
Chris Denari joining us here as he always does. Hey, man, it has been another fun day. We do have just a couple minutes, 2 minutes left. But yeah, Crystal Lake, man, come on. I can't remember anything, and I remember that. As soon as you said that, I was like, whoa. But do you remember that Friday the 13th?
I remember the movie. I don't remember Crystal Lake.
Well, it's the very end scene, and the girl's like, "Oh, she's gonna get rescued. She's okay. She's out in a boat. She woke up out on this like a canoe or just a John boat or whatever it was, out in this very serene, total flat water lake with the beautiful foliage around, and the cops are on the beach, and she's starting to, oh yeah, I'm here." And about that time, Jason comes up out of the water into the boat and grabs her. And
wasn't it Freddy? Isn't
no,
Freddy
that's Freddy Krueger. That's Freddy Krueger. I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to get this stuff straightened out. But anyway, it scared the living crap out of me. But when we did that to my dad, oh my God, he jumps out of the lake, and he and my brother both went, "Ah!" And oh my God, I mean, I thought I was gonna die. I thought he was gonna beat me to death. I ran. I did a Bobby Hurley. I took off running out of the house, and I didn't stop. Man, it has been a fun show as always with my man Dustin Schutte is around. Big thanks to Chris Denari as well. Most importantly, and John, the producer, for keeping us on track. Most importantly, thanks to you guys for making it fun. Tell everybody else about it. Tell somebody about the show. Tell one person about the show today. I would appreciate that. And subscribe, hit like, give Dustin and myself a like on Twitter. We love you guys and appreciate you so much. Back tomorrow to do it all again. Joined by Alec Lasley and Zach Osterman and a whole group. Let's see. Oh, Mitchell Page. Yeah, can't forget. Man, you and Mitchell together, that would be fun. That's going to wrap it up for us today. Big thanks to everybody. Until tomorrow, I'm Jim Coyle. I will see you on the radio.
Thanks for listening to Indiana Sports Beat Radio. Be sure to subscribe to our YouTube page for more clips and team coverage of Indiana basketball, football, and more. You can also find full episodes and tons of other content on thehoosier.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Indiana Sports Beat Radio.